Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Andy, also known as Caps Coverage, and today we're going to do a little recap of the Capitals' very busy draft weekend. Everything from their picks to the trades that they made at and right around the draft. Also, I will make this clear at the front. I do not consider myself to be a prospect expert in by any means, and especially once you get past the upper echelon. So for picks in rounds 3 and later, I'm going to go mostly off of what I've seen off of HockeyDB for grading those selections. And then for the trades involving NHL players and their earlier round picks, I can do some more in-depth analysis. All right, let's start with the trades. The first one's a bit of a sad one. The Washington Capitals traded forward Malenstyn to the Buffalo Sabres in exchange for the 43rd overall pick in the draft, which they used to later select Cole Hudson. But on the note of Malenstyn, he was a pending restricted free agent, originally drafted by the Capitals in 2016 in the 5th round of that draft. He had a really good career with Hershey, won a Calder Cup in 2023. Last season was his first full season in the NHL. Malenstyn played in 81 games, had 6 goals and 15 assists for 21 points, and then in the playoffs had no points in the Capitals' 4-game sweep against the Rangers. But Malenstyn is such a good player when it comes to doing all the dirty work. He's a great hitter, an amazing fourth-line winger, and a great penalty killer. Buffalo's got a really good bottom 6 forward for the foreseeable future with him, and it'll be tough to replace him on that fourth line. And in their other deal, the Washington Capitals add a goalie. They acquired Logan Thompson from the Vegas Golden Knights. In 46 games for Vegas last season, Thompson had a .908 save percentage and a 2.7 goals against average with 1 shutout. But let's not forget that he is also both a Stanley Cup champion and All-Star Game starter as a member of the Vegas Golden Knights. This is a move that I believe signifies the organization isn't 100% sold on Charlie Lindgren as a full-time starter. When you're adding somebody like Logan Thompson, he works really well in a tandem setting, like a 50-50 split as a 1A, 1B option. I think that's what they want to do this season. Treat it more like the Kemper-Lindgren combo that they had last season, instead of making Charlie Lindgren an unquestioned starter and calling up Hunter Shepard to back him up. I don't think that the Capitals want to overwork Charlie Lindgren, as we saw down the stretch last year. If he's starting way too many games in a short amount of time, he will falter. And then they're not 100% sure if Shepard's ready is the other thing that this is telling me. Despite winning back-to-back Calder Cups in the AHL, including winning playoffs MVP in the 2023 run, they are not ready to hand the reins over for a backup job to Hunter Shepard, which I find a little bit surprising. But Logan Thompson, still only 27 years old, has a lot of time left to grow in the NHL, and he's somebody who I think the Capitals might view as more than just a one-year rental. I would expect them to try and extend Logan Thompson relatively soon, and they might even view him as their starter of the future. Both him and Lindgren only have 1 year on their deals before they hit unrestricted free agency. Now moving on to the draft picks. In the first round, 17th overall, the Washington Capitals selected Tarik Parasak out of Prince George from the WHL. He technically played in 2 seasons in the WHL, but really only played in 1. He played 4 games in 2022-23. So in 2023-24, he played 68 games for Prince George, scored 43 goals, and had 62 assists for 105 points. Don't get me wrong, I think Parasak will be a very good NHL player for a while, but I can't help but say that I was a little bit disappointed by this selection. I think Parasak is a guy who the Capitals could have gotten in round 2, but with Trevor Connolly and Cole Yzerman still on the board at that time too, I was very disappointed with this selection. I don't have that much to say. They needed a defenseman. I understand why they didn't take a defenseman, because Juracek had just been taken right before Parasak, and he was the last of the top-tier defensemen in the draft. So I understand why they went forward instead, but taking Parasak when you had Yzerman and Connolly still on the board especially, that was a bit of a head-scratcher from the front office, if you ask me. Then, in the second round, 43rd overall, using the pick that they acquired from the Malenstyn trade, the Washington Capitals took defenseman Cole Hudson For those of you wondering, yes, he is the younger brother of Montreal Canadiens top prospect Lane Hudson. In 19 games for the USHL's U.S. National Development Team last season, Hudson had 3 goals and 9 assists for 12 points. But Hudson, I think, is going to blossom into a very good defensive defenseman. 5'10", 165 is a little bit undersized, but I don't think Washington's too worried about that. He's a great skater, and just like his brother, slipped in the draft for size, but we're seeing right now with Montreal that they don't mind that pick whatsoever. Again, in the second round, at 52nd overall, the Caps selected Leon Mugli out of the Swiss League from Zug EV. In 42 games, a defenseman had 3 goals and 9 assists for 12 points. Similar to Cole Hudson, I think that this is going to be a very defense-first defenseman. He's only 17, so he's still got a lot of time left to grow. Hopefully he's somebody who they can develop through the ranks, send him to the ECHL in South Carolina at first, go up to Hershey, and then hopefully up to Washington one day. But yeah, looks to be a defensive defenseman, Mugli. Then in the third round, at number 75, the Capitals drafted Ilya Protas, younger brother of freshly extended Capitals forward Alexei Protas. In 2023-24, he played for the USHL's Des Moines Buccaneers. In his 61 games, Protas had 14 goals and 37 assists for 51 points. I am not sure if Protas will ultimately make it to the NHL. I feel like that this was very much a pick to have the brothers in the organization try to develop them together. But who knows? If Alexei's done so well and he was a third-round pick back in 2019, what's to say that they can't get the same from Ilya Protas? Then next up, they took Eric Matejko at number 90 overall in the third round. He played for the St. John Sea Dogs of the QMJHL. He spent 2 seasons there. In his first one, he played in 62 games, had 16 goals and 20 assists for 36 points. Then in his second season, 13 fewer games, only playing 49, but 7 more points, getting 43 on his 23 goals and 20 assists. At 6 feet tall and 210, he's a large winger, similar build to Anthony Mantha in terms of size and height. Next up in the fourth round, the Capitals selected their only goalie of the draft. They took Nick Kempf from the U.S. National Development Program. In 2022-23, he played in 18 games. He actually played in 18 games both of his seasons for the team. In 2022-23, he had an .834 save percentage, and then in 2023-24, it upgraded to an .870. That's still not that great. Always good to have more goalies in your system, but Nick Kempf, not sure if he will be playing for the Capitals when it's all said and done. Peter Sikora was taken by the Caps in the 6th round, 178th overall. He comes from the Czech Junior League from Trinek Okolari Hockey Club. Probably butchered that pronunciation. But as a center, he had 22 games with 1 goal and 2 assists for 3 points. Big developmental project here. Czech League, coming from overseas, probably had a little bit less tape on him compared to those CHL and US guys, but looking like it could be a long road to the NHL for Sikora. And lastly, the Caps took at 212 overall in the 7th round, Miroslav Satan. And this might be the first time I've ever seen this, but his hockey DB had 0 stats. Big mystery of a player, big project, I assume, for the Capitals. But with all that mystery, could be a good player hidden in there somewhere. Who knows? Thank you for tuning in today. As I mentioned earlier, I do not claim to be a prospect expert, especially after you get after that first echelon. All these guys taken in round 3 or later, they don't necessarily project to be NHLers, but in every draft you have guys from the 3rd round and later who end up being great players. So some of these guys might be some of those guys. You never know. But thank you for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe down below. Leave any comments of your thoughts on the Logan Thompson, Beck Malenstyn trades or any of their draft picks if you have strong opinions. Thank you for watching today, and I hope to see you next time.